In 1587, more than 100 English settlers arrived on a small island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. Their mission seemed simple: build the first permanent English colony in the New World. But within just a few years, every man, woman, and child had vanished without a trace. No bodies. No battle signs. No graves. Just one mysterious word carved into a wooden post: CROATOAN. For more than 4 centuries, the Lost Colony of Roanoke has remained one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. What really happened to those settlers? Were they killed? Did they starve? Did they abandon the colony and merge with native tribes? Or is there something even stranger hidden beneath the story? The mystery begins with England's race to challenge the growing power of Spain. During the late 1500s, European nations were desperate to expand into the Americas. Spain had already become incredibly wealthy through gold, trade, and massive colonies in the New World. England wanted a piece of that power. So English explorers began searching for locations where they could establish settlements and military outposts along the Atlantic coast. One of the men leading that effort was Sir Walter Raleigh, who received permission from Queen Elizabeth I to colonize parts of North America. Raleigh chose an island called Roanoke, located near present-day North Carolina. The area seemed promising. It had access to the sea, nearby forests, and fertile land. In 1585, England sent its first group of colonists there. But things quickly went wrong. The settlers struggled to survive. Food became scarce. Relations with local native tribes grew tense. Within a year, the colony failed, and the settlers returned to England. But Raleigh refused to give up. In 1587, a second expedition was organized. This time, the colony would include families instead of soldiers. Men, women, and children boarded ships and crossed the Atlantic hoping to build a permanent home. Leading the colony was a man named John White. White was not only the governor but also an artist and mapmaker who had previously visited the region. He believed the settlement could succeed. The colonists arrived in July of 1587. There were around 115 settlers in total. Among them was White's pregnant daughter, Eleanor Dare. Shortly after arriving, she gave birth to a baby girl named Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. For a brief moment, the future looked hopeful. But beneath the optimism, problems were already building. The settlers discovered that the previous colony's fort had been abandoned and damaged. Supplies were limited. Food was running low. And relations with local native groups remained fragile. Some tribes were friendly, while others were hostile due to earlier violence involving English settlers. The colonists realized they desperately needed more supplies and support from England. So the settlers convinced John White to sail back to England for help. White agreed, though he hated leaving his family behind. He promised to return quickly with food, tools, and reinforcements. Before he departed, the colonists discussed what to do if they were forced to leave the settlement. They agreed that if they relocated, they would carve the name of their destination somewhere visible. If they left under danger or attack, they would carve a cross as a distress signal. John White sailed back across the Atlantic in late 1587. But fate turned against him almost immediately. England was preparing for war with Spain. The mighty Spanish Armada threatened English shores, and nearly every available ship was needed for defense. White's planned return to Roanoke was delayed again and again. What was supposed to be a short trip became a nightmare of waiting. For 3 long years, the colonists remained stranded without support. Then finally, in 1590, White secured passage back to Roanoke. He must have imagined the reunion constantly during the voyage, seeing his daughter again, meeting his granddaughter, helping rebuild the struggling colony. But when White finally arrived at Roanoke Island, he found something terrifying. The settlement was completely deserted. There were no people. No signs of battle. No bodies. The houses had been dismantled carefully rather than destroyed violently. Chests and possessions had vanished. It looked as though the settlers had packed up and left deliberately. White searched desperately for clues. Then he found the word CROATOAN carved into a wooden post. Nearby, the letters CRO were carved into a tree. Most chilling of all, there was no cross carved anywhere. According to their agreement, that meant the settlers had not left under immediate danger. CROATOAN referred to a nearby island and also to a native tribe allied with some of the English settlers. White believed the colonists may have relocated there. But before he could investigate, severe storms and rough seas forced his ship to leave the area. He never found his family. He never discovered the fate of the colony. And the settlers of Roanoke disappeared into history forever. Over the centuries, countless theories have attempted to explain the mystery. One of the most popular is that the colonists integrated with local Native American tribes. Historical evidence suggests this may have happened. Some later English explorers reported encountering native groups with unusual European features such as gray eyes or lighter hair. Others described tribes that used English-style tools or knew fragments of English words. One tribe often connected to the mystery is the CROATOAN people, now associated with the Lumbee tribe of North Carolina. Some historians believe the settlers may have joined them in order to survive. It would make sense. The colony lacked food, supplies, and protection. Native tribes understood the land, the climate, and survival techniques. Joining them may have been the only option. This idea changes the entire story. Instead of a terrifying disappearance, Roanoke could represent adaptation and transformation. The settlers may not have died suddenly, they may have become something new. But because English authorities expected a traditional colony with clear records and structures, anything outside that framework appeared as total loss. Still, unanswered questions remain. Why did no survivor ever return to English settlements later? Why are there no confirmed records from neighboring tribes describing exactly what happened? And why has no definitive archaeological site been found containing clear evidence of the colony's final location? Some mysteries grow weaker with time as evidence disappears. Roanoke has done the opposite. Every new discovery seems to create more questions. The carved word CROATOAN remains one of history's most chilling clues because it feels both meaningful and incomplete, as though the settlers tried to leave behind an answer that no one fully understood. Today, visitors still travel to Roanoke Island searching for traces of the lost colony. The forests, coastline, and windswept shores create an atmosphere that feels frozen between history and legend. Somewhere in that landscape, the truth may still be buried beneath the earth. Perhaps forgotten artifacts, hidden graves, or future DNA studies will finally reveal what happened. Or perhaps the mystery will endure forever. The Lost Colony of Roanoke stands as a reminder that history is not always clear. Sometimes entire chapters vanish into darkness. More than 100 people crossed the ocean seeking a new beginning, and within a few years, they disappeared so completely that the world still argues about their fate centuries later. Were they absorbed into native tribes? Did starvation drive them away? Were they victims of violence, disease, or disaster? Or did the colony collapse slowly until its people scattered across the wilderness, leaving behind only fragments of their existence? And that uncertainty is exactly why the mystery of Roanoke still captures imaginations after more than 400 years. Because somewhere between documented history and forgotten legend lies the fate of the lost colony, a story that may never truly be solved. Let me know in the comments section below, and thank you so much for watching.